guys, what's going on? First off, I got this one. You see all the dust on this? I don't know if you can see it. This has been aging for a while. This is a larmo22 blueberry mead. He gave me this when he was at the GABF 2 years ago. So, kind of just been... Actually, I was waiting for a buddy of mine to come over and drink it, but whatever. He really likes meads, but... Let's go ahead and get into this. Ooh. I don't know the alcohol on this one. So it pours out definitely. I'm just going to top this thing up because I'm sure it's got some sediment in it. But alright. Yeah, you still get quite a bit of blueberry on the nose actually. And some like some honey too. Like it's, I mean, it's kind of ironic, but yeah. So it's a hint of blueberry and like a hint of honey. Go ahead and give it a whirl. A little bit of alcohol in the nose. Yeah, that's nice. I don't get too much blueberry. You get a little bit on the flavor, not too much. A little bit of heat, but that's kind of expected from meads. I mean, they're 10, 11%. It finishes pretty dry. Not a whole lot of residual sweetness. So I'm assuming it's probably more of a dry mead or a medium sweetness mead, but definitely not a sweet mead or like one of those dessert meads. Yeah, it's nice. Just a little bit of alcohol, not much though. It's not like, I've had some meads that are really hot. This is like kind of low to low medium hotness on the on the alcohol. Yeah, it's really smooth. I haven't had a ton of meads in my days, but I've had a few. So nice. Yeah, I have another mead of Larmo's. It's I have another one. It's a Fireball mead. So I'm assuming these like Fireball candies. I don't know, maybe cinnamon sticks or something. So I have to give that one a try. So what's been going on with me? I got 2 beers new on tap, or one for the most part. The coconut IPA that everyone brewed a couple years ago. Kind of rebrewed that one, different hops. I put it in the keg yesterday, and so I just pulled a sample of it. And I did the keg hopping, you know, and I kind of overcharred the coconuts, and so when I put them into the keg, it was kind of more on the coconut burnt side, and I think that's really coming through now. So that's kind of disappointing. I'm hoping that kind of dies off, but it's, you know, it's a lot of coconut, but you can taste like burnt coconut. So I'm like, that's super disappointing, and it's just like my fault for using burnt coconuts. But other big news. So on a Brew Years video that I did maybe two videos ago, or I don't know, I kind of talked about, you know, what I kind of wanted to focus on this year as far as brewing wise. The big one was getting into the GABF, mostly just entering in competitions, but focusing on competitions where breweries are pulling contestants to enter into the Great American Beer Festival here in town. Just to recap, it's just breweries and home brewers. They usually, a brewery will hold a contest, or they'll piggyback on a contest that's already going on, and they'll say, we're going to pick out of the winners, or whatever beer we really like, we're going to pick that homebrew recipe, brew it with the home brewer, and enter it into the GABF under the ProAm competition. So I posted it on Facebook, so if you guys are my Facebook friends, you kind of already know, but I ended up winning the one for Odd 13. So I guess my New Year's resolution has been completed, so that's really exciting. They're probably one of my top 5 breweries in Colorado, which is saying a lot. I mean, there's 300 breweries in Colorado. They're right up there. They do a lot of New England style IPAs is kind of what they've been focusing on the last probably 2 years or so. So they do a lot of Conan IPAs, um, Yeast 1318, 644. So they're doing a lot of late hopping, a lot of whirlpool hops, and stuff like that. So they make just phenomenal beers, and I try to go up there as much as possible. So to win with them, I couldn't really ask for much more. One of the other cool things, not only are they going to brew my recipe, they have a production facility too. So they have a brew pub, and then they have a production facility. The brew pub was the one they originally opened with. I think it's like a 7-barrel, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. But their production barrel is a 30-barrel system that they can and distribute locally. So I'm going to brew on the production side. So they're going to do a 30-barrel batch of my beer. They're going to can it, and they're going to sell the cans out of their tap room. So that's pretty exciting. So it's really cool, and so we're going to probably do that in August. Apparently, I went and talked to the owner, and we just kind of went over recipe, and the beer I won with was a New England style IPA, and they really liked it, and they said, yeah, it was awesome. And so, what was I going to say? Yeah, so we're going to brew it this summer, because I guess all of the GABF, at least the ProAm side, I don't know if I think it might be all the entries, have to be at, here in Denver by like the end of August. And so, the GABF isn't until October. So, yeah, so that's cool. So I'll be brewing that this summer, brewing that recipe. So, and I got my buddy, he's a really good artist, so he might try to work on some of the can artwork and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, so Dirk Diggler Pale Ale will be a commercial beer for a one-time run, a 30-barrel batch. So that's pretty exciting. I was pretty stoked to win. I think there was 50 contestants that entered, and it was just a best of show. So they had kind of rounds like 1, 2, 3, and then they had just their staff kind of pick the best out of the winner. So any style could have won. Like the second place was a barrel-aged sour beer that they're going to do in their tap room side, and they're going to make a barrel like a long term, and they're going to serve it out of their tap room, so that's cool too. But what else is going on? Oh, I didn't bring it down. So I've been watching, oh man, I can't remember his name. I just subscribed to him. He's a British guy. Anyways, he just did a video on using no-chill cubes. And so, like, I'd seen, Tiny I'd seen Tiny do that a lot. All those guys in Australia and stuff do the cube thing. And so I was like, well, I'll give it a try. So I bought a cube. It arrived today. There was only like $16 on Amazon with shipping, so I figured, well, fuck it, I'll give it a whirl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to brew a 10-gallon batch, and 5's going to go into the cube, 5's going to not go into the cube. I'm going to probably do the same yeast. I'm thinking like a blonde or something. I need something kind of easy drinking, so I'm going to probably do like a blonde or something like that, something that maybe could show flaws. I kind of want to see how viable this is. Just kind of test it for myself. So do the exact same beer. The good thing about this is I'm not going to do a lot of like dry hopping and stuff like that could cover up flaws. So it'll be typical blonde recipe. One's going to go in the cube. What I plan on doing is I'm not going to ferment them both at the same time, just because having 10 gallons of a blonde on might be and I kind of want to test this cube theory out, so I want to leave it in the cube for a month or two. It'll probably take me that long to drink the blonde, so hopefully before the first blonde is done, the keg is kicked from the first blonde, I'll have the next one ready, so I'll be able to carb it up and do a side-by-side. There'll be different ages, but that's okay. So I want to be able to do a side-by-side of cubed, the no-chill cube thing. So that's kind of what I got going on now. Yeah, I gotta rebrew the recipe that I did for the GABF. He wants to send it in to get IBU tested and stuff like that. Just because they do an hour whirlpool, I only did 20 minutes, so he just wants to find out what the IBUs were, and he sends all of his beers in to get tested for IBU, so he has a really good idea of how to make the homebrew recipe more um, to translate to commercially. Yeah. Oh, there's going to be the homebrew recipe is going to be in a Zymergy. One of the editors or writers or something like that contacted me, and so they're going to my recipe and stuff's going to be in a Zymergy article. I don't know which one, but I'll let you guys know. I'm sure you guys are all AHA members, so you guys probably already get Zymergy, so that'll be cool. Yeah, that's about it. So it's been a pretty good little run here. Oh, one more thing I got to do. I brewed probably like a month and a half ago. I brewed I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen to you. So I brewed up a barley wine, American barley wine, that I want to enter into a competition a year from now. So I brew up this big barley wine. The pre-boil gravity was like 1090s, high 1090s or something. So it was a big beer. And so in my infinite wisdom, I decided, well, I want to get a lot of caramel out of it. So I do a 2-hour boil. I'm not checking gravity this whole time. I do a 2-hour boil. Boils off probably more than I thought. After I had already chilled it, took it in the fermenter, take a gravity reading. It's at 1.20. So this thing's like a freaking monster, right? I was kind of hoping for 1.10 or something like that. That would put it around 10%, maybe 11%, depending where it finished. So it finished. I was like, okay, that's cool. It's not a big deal. It'll just be a little bit bigger than I wanted. So I use like San Diego super yeast. That thing's kind of, it's cruising along for probably a week or so. And I check the gravity, it's at like 1040. And it's kind of slowing down a little bit. I mean, it's, the airlock's not moving as fast. It's still definitely fermenting. But I'm like, fuck, this thing's going to stall out on me, right? So like, well, I want to get a head start, while the San Diego super yeast before that totally dies out. So I go and get like a thing of high gravity yeast, the Y yeast high gravity. So I make a real, big 2,000 milliliter starter of that. Pitch that into it, right? So I'm like, cool, did what I can. Hopefully this thing doesn't stall out like 1035 or 1030 or something. I want it to be around 1020. So I pull a sample. It was still going, but I pull a sample. It's probably 2 weeks in. Pull a sample, and it's at 1020, tasting great. So I'm like, great, this thing's gonna be like 12%. Like, hopefully it dies right here. So this thing kind of chugs along for like another week, 2 weeks. So I check it at a month. Thing's at 1010. So we went from 1.020 to 1010. So it's like 14%. And like really hot, like you can tell, like, the fermentation was controlled, so it's not like, but it's, it's a 14, 15, maybe almost 15%, 14% for sure. 14% beer that has like the finishing gravity of a pale ale. So it's like, fuck, I shouldn't have done the high gravity yeast, I guess. I mean, that thing just absolutely destroyed. So what I plan on doing is I still really want, I've got a lot of kind of money and time tied up into this beer, and it's not bad, it's not infected, it's just the gravity's finished too low. So what I plan on doing is I'm going to brew the same exact recipe. I'm going to pitch 002 English ale yeast. I'm going to, mash high. I'm going to do everything I can, within reason to make it unfermentable. Pitch 002, big starter. I'm going to aerate, all that stuff. So that should stall it. I'm thinking that'll probably wimp out at 1030. That's kind of my thinking. It's a really low attenuating yeast. And then I'm going to blend those two beers together. Hopefully we'll get 1020. Hopefully we'll get a nice English character and a nice American character. And I'll bottle up that 10 gallons. So hopefully that's what's going to happen. So one thing I have to remember is I'm going to have to blend them together. Hopefully the high gravity yeast has either died, it's kind of already used up, and hopefully there's not a whole lot of, it's in secondary right now, sitting in 14% alcohol for a month and a half. So hopefully it's not like still ripping and roaring, and when I mix them, I'm going to blend them together and let them sit for at least a month in, I guess tertiary, secondary type deal. So hopefully that can kind of even things out, and then when I go to bottle it, we don't have bottle bombs. I can kind of control the carbonation and stuff. So yeah, so hopefully that works out. I've never had a beer over attenuate like that. So I've brewed that beer before and it finished at like 1022. It was really good. So yeah, we'll see. So yeah, that's all that's going on, guys. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. So one thing is I still kind of, well, this coconut IPA I wanted to enter into a competition coming up. I'm probably not going to, just because I know it's too burnt, unless it starts mellowing out really hard. So I probably won't enter into that. But yeah, I still kind of want to just enter into a bunch of competitions this year. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. So be on the lookout. I got some experiments coming up. The no cube chill thing. So yeah. All right, guys. We'll catch you later. Bye.